Really, the only way to know for sure if you've got a claim that can be brought successfully is to check with an attorney. Very rarely does an insurance company run up to an injured person waving a checkbook at them. If it happens, you're among the blessed few, and you should thank your lucky stars. But and then you don't need me to answer that question. But for most people, they should consult with an attorney. It's well worth doing early on to at least call a law office such as ours and get answers to those basic questions. Again, it's impossible to answer everybody's circumstance in this kind of a forum.
If I've been injured, how do I get my medical bills paid?
If it's an automobile accident that causes your injuries, and you live in Oregon, every one of us has, as part of our automobile insurance, something called personal injury protection, which is a no-fault coverage under our own insurance policies that pays medical bills for the first year after the wreck. You can purchase different limits of coverage. The minimum limit that everyone at least has to have is $15,000. And so it's actually, surprisingly to a lot of people, your own insurance company that you look to first when you've been injured. The other insurance company isn't going to pay your medical bills voluntarily, and unless you sign a release which ends your claim. So you don't want to do that until you know that you're all better or you're done treating anyway. So that's why the Oregon legislature passed this kind of protection for people, and it's a mandatory part of everybody's automobile insurance policy. And even if you're a pedestrian, your own auto insurance covers your medical bills. So if you're run down in a crosswalk and you say, how are my bills going to get paid? I don't have regular health insurance. Your own auto insurance will pay your bills for the first year up to the limits of your coverage. The PIP law, like most insurance statutes, has lots of different wrinkles to it and is very complicated. So again, if you can't figure out or aren't told by your insurance company that you've got enough coverage, it's a good time to call an attorney. It's one of the problems that comes up that is a red flag that says, I better consult with an attorney. Now, if you're injured on a business premises, very often there's a kind of insurance that businesses carry called premises medical payments insurance, which will also pay medical bills on a no-fault basis. The way I explain it to people is, I said, you could be a drunk wandering by a business with that kind of insurance, and if you fell down in their front door, you'd be covered, even though the business didn't do anything wrong. So very often it's a way to get medical bills paid even though the business is denying liability for your injuries, and which often happens even in cases when they are in fact really liable. So those are two ways that you can get your medical bills paid in Oregon. In California, unfortunately, they don't have PIP coverage as part of insurance. There's an optional coverage in California called medical payments insurance, which you need to look at your own policy and see if you have. If you have it, then you've got some medical coverage that'll pay your medical bills again on a no-fault basis while you see if you have a claim, and if so, if you have a claim, how much it's ultimately worth when you settle it. But in the meantime, to get the treatment you need, you can avail yourself of that medical payments insurance. And if you're looking at this and you haven't had an accident, but you're just trying to inform yourself, one piece of advice I'd give you is check your policy, see what your medical coverage limits are, and realize how easily you can run up $50,000, $100,000 worth of medical expenses in today's medical environment, and make sure you're adequately insured.
Insurance company wants a recorded statement from me. Should I, or do I have to give them one?
If an insurance company, for the adverse party, the person that injured you, that's responsible for your injuries, asks for a recorded statement, it's our advice to refuse to give it. You have no obligation to give a recorded statement. And in fact, if you think about it for a minute, you'll realize there's absolutely no reason why they need to record your statement about the wreck other than to use it against you if you accidentally misspeak or forget something important that should be said. Now, people say to me all the time, well, I'm just going to tell the truth, and of course you are. But a lot of times, right after a wreck, when the insurance company is calling you up saying, hey, we need a recorded statement, you're on narcotic pain medication, you're in such pain that you're not thinking straight just from the pain itself, and you might leave out some important fact like, oh yes, I did have an earlier back injury that it wasn't very significant, but it was there. And so if you say, no, I've never hurt my back before, they'll later use it to try to imply to a jury that you tried to lie at the beginning of the claim, which wasn't your intention at all. Now, it's not to say that the insurance company doesn't need information. When you come into our office, we ask you a lot of questions about how the accident happened, but we're not recording you because we're never going to want to use what you say against you. That's the insurance company's sole purpose in asking for a recorded statement. And the way I know it's true is because when we're representing somebody and we get involved in the case early on, and the insurance company says, we'd like to take a recorded statement from your client, and we say, fine, we'll let you do that if we can take a recorded statement from your insured, the person that caused the accident. I've been making that offer for 30 years. I've never had an insurance company take me up on it because they know the dangers of going on the record when you're not properly prepared and probably not even thinking clearly because of the effects of medication or the injury itself.